you guys like sneak in the dark because we start service and there's like 5 people here. And then when we start, when the lights come on, it's like, where did all these people come from? I know what y'all are all here for, though. Yeah. It's the drawing, right? The, what did we call it? The getaway giveaway.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Say that 10 times.
Fast.
Backwards.
We got lots of fun stuff in here. I'm so excited. Let's see. We got some pretty coffee cups. We got a nice pretty candle. Some chocolate.
Hey, hold up on the pretties. This is like for a man too.
Oh, and the movie tickets over here to go to the movie, and the sex experiment book.
Oh yeah. Hey, I put this in here for you guys because I got in trouble last week. Here's what we got you. We got you a hotel and a sex experiment book. There you go.
And ladies, you have a journal. You can journal about your experience. Better make it good.
Or not.
No pressure.
This is a pretty good thing, man. It's actually, you got a gift certificate for a Marriott hotel, any Marriott hotel. You got a movie. You got all this good stuff. So what we're gonna do, and if this is your first time, man, sorry, bummer. But over the last 6 weeks, we've been letting you enter once a week, and so today we're gonna draw a couple for the getaway giveaway, and
you have to be present to win. So if people went to the other, grandma's house for Christmas Sunday, well,
I'm
we
looking
didn't
for my
realize
name.
it was going to end up being on Christmas. We are not in there, okay?
What's Steve Plunk doing in there? Throw that one out.
Don't look. You can't look.
Okay. Who's going to draw this?
There's a volunteer right there.
Come here. Come here, Justice.
Oh, no.
Since we can't win anyway, I'll let my kid draw.
Yeah, we can't win anyway, so.
Here. All right, ready? Close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
1, 2, 3.
And pick one.
Just one. Just one.
I know.
You're cheating. Quit looking. Golly, come on.
Okay,
I
we got one.
You in.
All right, we got one. Let's see if this person's here. Drum roll.
Wesley Womble. Hey. He's like, I didn't even know I was entered. Because I know this ain't your handwriting on here, man.
Come on up and get your giveaway.
Congratulations,
round of
man.
applause.
Where'd Justice go? Come here, Justice.
We're not done with you. We got a consolation prize.
Yeah, here's what we found. We were looking, and we found His Needs, Her Needs, and this is a 6-session DVD of them. It's actually video teachings of the His Needs, Her Needs stuff. So
it says it can be you're supposed to have the workbooks, but we were too cheap to buy the workbooks for you.
Couldn't find one.
No, we really couldn't find one, so you can order them
But
online.
you can also download just about anything off of marriagebuilders.com. But these are the DVDs of 6 parts of marriage. Like, this is great to go through together. So consolation prize goes to...
Drum roll. Ooh, a folded up one. What?
Who is?
What?
That's it. Chance McNeil.
No way! Yay!
Dude, this is Chance's day. He won the Volunteer of the Week
award. He did.
For the recognized volunteer. So he's on it, man. Now Lacey gets Christmas. Congratulations, dude. All right, awesome. All right, so today we're going to finish this up, and I'll just tell you why we're doing this on Christmas, because, well, I have a calendar, but I still can't add. I really thought I had another week before Christmas, so sorry. Merry Christmas. But wait, before we go, does anybody not know the Christmas story? All right, we're good then. So we're going to talk about something that matters, right? Y'all rather hear the Christmas story again or fix your marriages? That's what I thought. We have this tradition at our church, though. If you come on Easter or Christmas or pretty much any holiday, Mother's Day, Father's Day, we're probably not going to be talking about that. So, surprise. I just wanted to today. I wanted to really try to recap, but also highlight the most important things I feel like we've talked about, and then I want to give you practical application things that you really need to use in your marriage. And so, when we started the series, we started talking about basic needs of men and women, and out on the table when you leave, there's a guest services table out there, and as you leave, there's CDs of the series, but there's also some slips of paper with the list of the needs on there. And if you don't have that, or if you want it and you forget to get one, write this down. This is very important. marriagebuilders.com. And they have everything you're going to need to a lot of you may not think you need this, but it's not just to help or save your marriage, but it really is to make your marriage great. And I think, don't we want a great marriage? I mean, if you got to spend the rest of your life with the person sitting next to you, shouldn't you make the most of it? I mean, you would think. So it really does help. Anyway, that list of his needs and her needs is the way it's broke down, but it's really the 10 basic needs of human beings. The book is old. It's, 20 years old, something like that. But, and when they wrote it, men's and women's needs were kind of separated. But what we've noticed in the last 10 years is that the needs are becoming more common, not really men or women, but just these basic human needs. And so the reason that's important is this. If you're in love, you stay married. And I know that sounds so simple, but people in love don't divorce. People in love stay married. What happens is, I don't think, and I may be wrong, except for maybe like getting a legalization into the country, I don't think people get married that aren't in love, right? I mean, like if you need a green card, you might. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. I can't think of any other reason to just get married. So for the most part, people are in love. Because you can get in trouble for the other way, right? I mean, bad trouble. So people are in love. Well, if we start out that way, that means we did something right to either fall in love or to make our spouse fall in love with us, right? So we end up getting married. Now, something happens along the way whenever you start to really find out the truth about each other. And I've shared a lot of this, but a lot of times we meet each other's needs so much that we kind of hide who we are. And then when we get married, then we kind of let down and we become who we are and we stop meeting their needs. And all of a sudden you're like, who's this person I'm married to? And you start to do all these things and you kind of live together or coexist, or you just start fighting or whatever it is, but you start to not feel love. And let me tell you the truth about love. If your spouse doesn't feel your love, then you're not loving them. And even though you may be loving them with everything inside you and with your whole heart, they're just not experiencing it. And so experienced emotional love, romantic love is what it's called. If it's not experienced, then you don't really get credit for that. So what we went through this series is how to make your spouse feel and experience romantic love that you can do a lot more intentional, I guess, to say.
Because we realize that with your emotional needs that what you may think would make him feel love, to him doesn't. So that's why it's so crazy in marriage, why you have to figure out, and we say it over and over every single week, You have to figure out what your top 5 emotional needs are, and you have to figure out what your spouse's top 5
you have
are.
to be able to communicate
You can't
those
communicate
needs.
if you don't know.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, for example, and if you've missed some, you don't know what we're talking about. Say you're a woman and you figure your husband's top need is sexual fulfillment, right? Because you would say, well, all guys, that's all they want, sex. So you'd say, well, his top need is sexual fulfillment. And I've actually heard this. Our sex life was great, but the marriage was still falling apart. I've heard that. So maybe from a woman's perspective, she's like, I'm giving him sex all the time, and our marriage is still falling apart. Well, that tells you there that that's not his number one emotion. You can be doing all the things that you think is love to him, but if it's not his need, then he appreciates it. But he's still not feeling loved, and whatever his need is, say it's domestic support, say it's coming home to a clean house and dishes done, and he's having to sift through the living room, to get there. He's feeling rejected and not cared for, and like, she doesn't even care for me. But yeah, our sex life's great. So that's what we mean by meeting each other's emotional needs. The main thing in doing that is you need to know your primary emotional needs. One thing we found out that if your number one and number 2 primary emotional needs are met, the rest of the 8 are going to be very insignificant. You're going to feel romantically in love. Now, you need to work on other stuff because that just makes it better. But if your number 1 and number 2 romantic needs are felt, then your marriage is going to thrive. It's really going to be a good thing.
And just to recap too, if your number 1 or number 2 top emotional need is not met by your spouse and somebody else tends to meet it, maybe it's conversation, or things like that, and someone else starts meeting this need that's outside your marriage, then you're looking for, you're entering the danger zone for an affair. So just, that's why it's so important that you meet your own spouses.
Right.
Know them and meet them.
Words of affirmation, or I can't think of the name of it. The words of affirmation. No, I can't remember. It's the need and not the love language.
Oh,
admiration.
That's right.
Admiration. A lot of people think that most affairs happen because of a lack of sex. Well, I've found in my experience in dealing with most marriages is that's not true. Most people aren't going to cheat on their spouse just because they're not getting sexually fulfilled. Now, sexual fulfillment, having that need and not having it met, there is a path that goes with that. But most of the time, that's going to lend itself in pornography and wandering eyes and a lot of anger and bitterness coming out of the bedroom. Most of the time, what I see, though, before there's an affair is there's usually a divorce or a separation. Because a lot of times, unmet sexual needs will lead to a separation faster than any other thing. I mean, they'll just be, I quit, I'm done. And so it usually don't lead to an affair. What we've seen more affairs come from is not unmet need of conversation for women and unmet need of admiration in men. Men who tend to cheat on their spouses begins with being admired by someone who's not their wife. You're great, you're wonderful. If you hear these words, your wife is a lucky woman, run. Run. But you are in trouble. The next stop's the bedroom. I mean, it's coming. It's going to be bad. Run. But if that is your primary love need and someone is encouraging you, you're not going to want to run. you're gonna want to stay and just absorb that. Man, nobody's as great as you. You know, you're the most awesome at that.
And you can do things like this practical hour here. So you can do things like, we have like strict rules even here at the office. This is something you take home to your office or wherever you work or whatever. You do not go to lunch with someone of the opposite sex. You do not ride in a car anywhere with someone of the opposite sex. That's it. Like if we have to go somewhere, someone else has to go too. I mean, we're serious about it because it happens so easily, you know. You let your guard down or whatever, but it's a big deal.
I don't even like being up here alone. If there's we want counsel. Like I want counsel with women. There's a lot of because most women's number one emotional need is conversation. Meaningful, honest, and open conversation. Man, and counseling's horrible because that's what your job is. Man, that's hot. He listens to me. Well, yeah. But here's something you need to know. I'm probably not thinking about what you're talking about. Just
if it's on Sunday after church.
Thinking about pizza.
Yeah, really. Oh, yeah.
So.
It's a whole new meaning now.
Anyway, the deal is, though, that most affairs occur by having another need met. And you have to understand that. Ladies, if there's a guy that's in your office or in your work and man, you just love him, he listens to you, he pays attention. When you talk, man, he wants you. Listen, nobody's going to just listen to you rattle. Okay? It's not.
Know that you're married.
Yeah. I mean, like, to go through that, they want something. And so if that's happening, man, you're in danger land. Beware.
Another thing is Facebook. Do not be friends with your old boyfriends and girlfriends on Facebook. Delete them. It's just danger zone. You don't need to do that.
Because the minute your wife doesn't do what your need is, whether it's not taking care of the kids or not cleaning the house or not, whatever your emotional need is, there are no rights or wrongs in this. But whatever your need is, the minute your spouse doesn't do that, man, and you get a Facebook post from an old girlfriend or an old boyfriend, man, something looks good about that. Because all you're seeing is one line. You remember why they're your ex?
Right. There's a reason. But you're not thinking about that in the moment. So it's very important to not be friends with them. It's very important that if you get a Facebook message from someone else, that's like going out to lunch. Just delete it. Don't even respond. Just delete it. Don't go there.
No, I mean, you got to stay away from that stuff. The emotional needs, you need to know yours, but the key to this series is not about you. Marriage is not about you. Get this though, man. Just forget about marriage for a second. If there's a lot of you single guys or people that are not married or divorced or never been married, a lot of people I've seen in our culture today struggle in relationships. And they struggle in relationships because they are all about them. No matter if it's marriage or friends or whatever. Friends who are all about themselves are hard to maintain. And what I mean by that is if you're in a relationship to have your needs met, you're a taker. And takers don't stay in relationships very long. So what the goal in relationships is to know, look for signs, and understand what the emotional needs of your kids, your friends, your spouse is, and meet their needs. Okay? And if you're focused on others and loving others and meeting their needs, then you're gonna learn that life can be incredible. Your relationships in every way are gonna excel. It's a biblical law.
Yeah, love is sacrifice.
God loved, so he gave, right? God loved, so he gave. Giving is the key to life. God doesn't say, here's the 2 greatest commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love yourself. Those aren't the 2. It are what? Love your neighbor. Treat people like you want to be treated. How do you want to be treated? You want your needs met, right? We all want it. There's nothing wrong with wanting your needs met. But the Bible, God's way God works is the way our needs are met are when we're focused on meeting the needs of those around us. And that's how we can learn to be better lovers. Even as parents, man, if you will learn your kids' emotional needs, maybe you're loving your kids. Maybe you're giving your kids everything you can imagine. But at the same time, they're feeling rejected and neglected. They're not being cared for. They're not feeling love. They're not experiencing love. So what do? They go find a boyfriend or girlfriend that's going to meet those needs. They're going to admire them. They're going to say they're beautiful. They're going to say they're great. They're going to clean their car for them. They're going to serve them. And so what do? They fall in love and give themselves away to someone who probably didn't really love them, just happened to be doing the thing they needed. If they are getting that from you, then they're not going to be out there looking. And let me talk to you guys who are single and not married, or who are out there, who are young, maybe in high school or later in life. Stop dating. The dating and breaking up and dating and breaking up and dating, all you're doing is practicing divorce. You are practicing divorce, and in our minds and in our lives, we become numb to being hurt. And I'm telling you, every person you date and every person you fall in love with takes a piece of your heart. Whether, and I'm not even talking about sex, okay? That it leads to that. But I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about if you're giving your heart away to these people, they're taking a piece of your life, a piece of your heart, and they crush it. And what that does is you will hold, 30 years later, you will hold your spouse responsible for the things your boyfriend or girlfriend hurt you with when you were in 16, when you were in high school. It happens every day. I've seen people get divorced because of high school exes that hurt them and they could never get past that. Stop practicing for divorce. Parents, don't forbid your kids to date. Love them into not dating. If you forbid your kid to date, what are they going to do?
Behind your back.
First thing they're going to do. It's what we did, right? Don't be a hypocrite. But if you are loved, if those
you're meeting their needs,
right,
they're not going to be looking for someone else. It's a fact that girls, they need their needs met, and if their father's not meeting that need, and emotional needs. I'm not talking about sex. That's not right.
Hey, I want to clear that up, and the reason I say this is because, man, not everybody's from church. Like, I mean, we've had people in the office that said, what? There were people in bad sexual relationships within families that did not know there was anything wrong with it. Okay, that's not right. Okay, that's not just a Louisiana joke.
Yeah, that stuff happens.
It
Right.
happens here in this town a lot. And we define normal by however we're brought up. And however you're brought up, man, there are things that are wrong and things that are right, and those things are definitely wrong. So I just want to make sure that you understand that that emotional need should not be met.
Right, so I'm not talking about that one. But if your father's not around, or maybe there's an addiction, and there's you know what I'm talking about. The first thing the kid does is seek out that emotional need from someone else. And most of the time it's a boy, and most of the time it ends up to premarital sex. And then, you're just messing your head up all the way, right there. And then later down the line, teenagers don't realize how bad they're messing themselves
What
up.
I found is when fathers are absent in the homes, girls tend to date people just like the father who's absent in the home, which is just the craziest thing. But they try, there's this emotional need there that's not being met. And so moms, single moms, it's real important that you're talking, that you're having these discussions, that you are doing everything within your power to meet the emotional needs of these kids. And if it's romance, a mom can meet her daughter's gifts through flowers and cards and gifts and hugs. Man, some people need hugs. I'm shocked at the number of people who don't have hugs in their families. Like, if you've ever met my mom, man, there's a way of being, and you just hug. It's the way life is. And so those kind of things that I took for granted as just being normal, well, Celia and their family don't show a lot of affection and don't say I love you and just, it was a weird thing. So, like, she was real. That's why Justice is so messed up. We practiced on her, so just forgive her. But man, it's real important to meet those needs in your kids.
And teach your children that marriage is not a contract. Marriage is a covenant.
Yes.
We need to teach our children what marriage actually is. So if they are dating, in high school, back and forth, date, break up, and how they're getting set up for just going out, breaking up, then it's going to be really easy for them to do that in marriage. Get married, it didn't work out, divorce, let's find someone else. It's going to be a lot easier. But if we teach them from the beginning what marriage really is and how it is a covenant, and it is a very serious thing, that if you're going to be dating somebody, you better realize this could be my husband. You need to really think about, future of who you're dating, because you may not want to be dating that person. So.
Yeah, and if you're dating someone and they're not meeting your needs, get out.
Quickly, just run.
Because they're not going to get better. When you get, if we could just get married, it'll fix everything. Anybody ever thought that? Anybody experienced that to be true, that when you got married, they just fixed everything you wanted to fix in them? Yeah, that's not going to happen, ever.
Let's give some practical
tips. Okay, yeah, I want to do this because I want to help you guys who are married and like, man, I'm starting to figure out how this thing works, but I don't know how to do it. How do you literally fall back into love? Well, it's work. You have to, man.
It's
you have
not
to,
fast.
Deny yourself and take up a cross. It's hard. It's hard. But if I can give you one tip that's going to totally help you, is imagine that you're not married, but imagine that you're dating your wife and you're trying to get her to fall in love with you. At one time, you stumbled across something that met a need of hers that made her love you. She may have been way out of your league. And I look at you guys and I can tell that's true. She was way out of your league. But you did something right. You met a need that made her just giddy. And what you need to do is go back and say, I need to do what I did then. Maybe she loved having the car door open for her. Maybe that's
How many does that still happen after you get married? Anybody still do that? Oh, yeah, okay.
Awesome, man.
That's good.
Where you guys are from.
That's awesome. I love it.
I did that once. Celia looked at me like, what are you doing?
It was so unexpected.
And then the way she acted, I was like, well, I'll never do that again.
One thing that can really help you guys, and we do this, we've been doing this for years, but is to have a date night. Mm-hmm. One night a week, you need to have a date night. If you can't get childcare, whatever, find a friend, a married couple, and just trade off. We'll watch your kid Friday night. If you can watch our kids, on Saturday night. You can trade off, things like that. We are blessed because we have in-laws, And I have my mom too that's in town, so we are extremely blessed and very, very, very thankful. Can I say that a million times? Very thankful. Grandparents, that is like the most awesome thing you can do for your children is to watch the grandbabies while you have a date night. Because once the kids are grown and gone, you're left with, and what's, you gotta.
You win the prize.
But it's very important to continue to love each other through the hardest time, which is raising those kids.
Let me tell you guys something, man, and this is from experience. We established a date night. Our date night's Friday night. And really, except for Mom's Christmas, because, except for Mom's Christmas, nothing, and I mean nothing, gets in the way of date night, and our kids know that. Our kids have known that forever. It's just the way it is. Ella knows it, Justice knows it. Why I say that's helped us and saved our marriage probably is because there's been a lot of times where she was the last person on earth I wanted to date. But because we've gone on dates without saying a word.
But we did it.
I'm telling you, if you don't establish the priority of it, movies are great for that, by the way. Dinner's awkward, but movies are great. The thing is, and I want to say that because I don't want y'all to think we just got this all together, We are a completely normal marriage. Our marriage is as manic as anybody else's is. So, but in establishing a date night every Friday night, man, I've been asked to do things here at the church or asked, to do whatever. And I'm like, man, I don't do anything else on
There's
Friday
a couple of times that we have had something come up, but we switched it to Saturday night. So we made sure we still had the date that week.
Yeah, but I would just set those parameters and set it in concrete. The thing is, if you don't set it as that priority, you will not do it. Because the kids are going to have a baseball game or something. You know what? My kids had a baseball game. Sorry.
We didn't go.
Sorry, date night. My kids are going to leave home. My wife's going to be here forever. My kids know I love them. I don't have to be at everything they do for them to know I love them. If I only love them when they're performing, I'm sending them the wrong message.
That's true.
I love my kids all the time, but on Friday night, they know what Friday night is. And so we don't go to baseball games or whatever else it is on Friday nights. That's date night. And if you establish that, then they already know that. My kids don't get disappointed when they got something coming on Friday night. That Friday night's mom and dad's date night. They know that.
But that's showing them, too, how much we respect each other and respect marriage, that we do this every single week.
If you're putting your kids before your spouse, your marriage is going to be in trouble the day they leave home. Mm-hmm. If the only thing you had in common was your kids' success, man, what are you going to do when they walk out and you're left with each other? That's why people get divorced when the kids leave home, because they realize they hated each other and loved the kids. Love your spouse. And when you do that, man, you're going to make your kids so much more secure people.
Something you can do, too, on date night, we use Priceline a lot. Pretty much, all the time.
About once a month at least.
We budget that. We put it in our budget that we're going to stay in a hotel once a month. It was just part of what we do. And we Priceline. You can get a really, really cheap hotel on Priceline. If you need help,
you need to become like a Priceline master, because like we don't ever pay over $50 for a hotel. And usually we always stay at really nice hotels. Thing is, we're not really interested where the hotel is. So
it's an adventure. Really.
I mean, you don't ever know. Priceline, man, it's like gambling. So you get a little fix, without calling it.
Legally.
So we'll Priceline a hotel, but generally, especially right now, just for a tip, right now 4-star hotels in the Richardson area, you're going to get either a Hyatt or the Renaissance Hotel, which are both extremely nice hotels. And it's only going to cost you $50 plus tax to stay there. And it's just, man, we do that. And Friday night is a great night to get hotels. Hotels are more expensive on Saturday nights. They're cheaper on Friday nights. They're more expensive on a weeknight because business people book hotels during the week. So Friday nights are good nights for that. But we've learned how to date on a budget.
Yes, yes. These little things, you can write this down. These are so awesome. This is called Simply Romantic Nights. So you might want to jot this down. It's from Family Life, and it's a box. That one is called Simply Romantic Secrets. It's like a spy game,
It's weird.
Detective game over there. But these things are so fun because one week the wife gets to do one, and the next week the husband does one. But it has these little cards in there, like for him and for her, and you open it up and it tells you all these things to do. You put the clues together, and anyway, it's fun. They're kind of.
And guys, I know what you're thinking. You're like, that's so stupid. She loves it.
It's fun.
You're like,
listen, let me
can't
tell
we just
you why.
eat something?
No, let me tell you why it's so fun. It makes him do something. You know?
The good thing is it tells you exactly what to do.
See? It's awesome.
You don't have to think about nothing.
Yeah. I'm not even going to tell you some of these things. It's hilarious, some of the stuff.
There's some good stuff in there, too.
It's fun, yeah. There really is. There really is. Just saying, y'all should do that. That's a really good thing to do. Just some other quick little things would be establish a bedtime for your children.
Yes.
So they know that if at 9, whatever, mom and dad are out, we're going to bed, so you better go too. And do not, under any circumstance, you know what I'm fixing to say, let your children sleep in your bed. Ever. Because if you do it one time, it's forever.
One time Justice laid in the floor in front of our door and cried for hours.
Oh, it's
That's
awful.
rough, man. That's rough.
It's awful. It's awful. I know it is, but look, it's gotta be that way. That's not right for your kids to sleep in your bed. It ruins everything.
Kills the romance.
Yeah, so don't do it. Don't do it. And I know it's tough standing beside that door with the kids screaming, but you gotta do it. You gotta get them out. Get them out.
And for you parents that got little ones, don't ever start it.
Don't start it. Don't start it. It's awful. It's awful. Yeah, that'll hurt. I think one other little thing that you can't do is let your kids run your house. Amen. I heard an amen on that. You can't let the kids establish what time they're going to bed and where they're going to sleep and what sports they're going to play, and they're not in charge. You can't let them run the house, and it only brings fights between you and your spouse, and then you fight in front of the kids, and then they figure out which one to go to, and okay, I can get away with this one, that one, this one, and it's just not a good
Especially
thing.
dealing with tight budgets, you got to control what your kids do, or you won't have money for date night. And I mean that. Our kids are way overextended as it is. There's every opportunity for everything in the world, and it's okay. Listen to me, parents. It is okay to say no. Your kid's not going to die if they don't get to play soccer or basketball, or soccer and basketball and gymnastics. It's not going to kill them. But if you're spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in these things, and where are you ever going to have the budget and the money to have a date night, or at that, and even at that, to let your kids know you love them outside of performance? I think a lot of our kids today are growing up with love being equated in their minds to how well I perform. And when they fail, when they're not the best, your kids are going to fail eventually. I know a lot of you are like, well, that's not going to happen to my kids. When your kids are not the best, and when your kids don't make it, look, very few people succeed all the way through. Then what happens? If that is how they are equating love, then man, they have to know they're loved no matter what. And it's just
Balance,
helpful.
it's all
It's
balance.
boundaries,
Yeah, balance. and
So,
boundaries.
establish, and I know we're not talking about kids specifically today, we're talking about marriage, but establish in your marriage that your marriage is the priority. Your kids are not. I mean, kids they hate when you say that, but you need to just go home and tell them, look, Mom and Dad, we're in charge here. And I know you've been in charge for a lot of years, but it's game over. We're in charge. And they're going to hate that, and they're gonna fight against that, but you got to take it over. You got to take the house back over. Man, the thing I found more than any other thing is be nice. I mean, if you can't do anything else, be nice to your spouse. Don't badmouth your spouse in front of people. Don't treat her stupid or treat him like he's an idiot. There's, the way culture works on TV today, it's for some reason the dad's always the idiot. I mean, it's like, oh, Dad don't know, they don't have a clue what's going on. And if you treat your husband like that, you're disrespecting him, you're teaching your kids to disrespect him. Honor each other. Be nice to each other. What I've found in my marriage is that I'll treat complete strangers better than my wife most of the time. And if you think about it, it's probably true with most of you too, so quit judging me. This is the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. I should treat her nicer than I treat anybody else.
Agreed.
We need to work. We need to work on. People usually respond exactly how they're treated. It's what I mean in any case, in leadership, in business, and whatever. If you're nice to people, then they tend to be nice. They tend to respond in positive ways. And if we're mean and negative and hateful and bitter and we talk down to our spouse, then they're going to act even more negative and bitter and angry, and they're going to respond that way. If we would use words of encouragement, lifting each other up, you guys realize that's called Christian, right? Those are the traits. Like, it's not judgment and condemnation and suppression. It is words of encouragement, finding the good in every person, finding the good in every situation, and building up and lifting up and encouraging. And if we would do that in our marriages, guys, it's going to help. It's going to help. So this is something that's important. One of the other things that we found, and this is another practical thing, is, and this one's hard, but really and honestly, try not to go to bed angry. Because if you let something stew overnight, a lot of times it doesn't go away, but it gets worse.
Well, most of the time, like, the husband will just go to bed, not even think about it anymore. Whereas the wife goes to bed and her mind turns on and it starts going. And you've got all kinds of things that probably didn't even happen, but just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the next morning, it's way worse. So might as well just do it
beforehand. They're like waking up to slamming doors and
yeah, that kind of thing. But
cold water
on your face. Yeah.
So,
conflict resolution, though, that's huge. Make sure it's a time when both of you are ready for conflict resolution. Timing is everything on that. I would say, I know I heard this guy say one time to ask, okay, is this an okay time that we talk about this? Before you just hammer and just lay into it or whatever. Just say, are we ready to talk about this before you get into it?
We're going to, as we just finished this series, man, what we wanted to do here was encourage you. If your marriage is in trouble, I just want to encourage you, man. I've seen so many crazy things happen in marriages. I mean, I've seen marriages that I thought were absolutely impossible to put together. I've seen marriages where in counseling I told them, you guys just need a divorce. But I've seen them put back together. I've seen people surrender their will. their hang-ups, their hold-ups, and start serving. And I've seen people who hated each other fall back in love with each other. I've seen marriages survive stuff that I thought there is no way that marriage will ever survive that. God is for you. He loves us. He's for us. You may have really jacked your marriage up bad. It may be your fault. I understand. But God's doesn't hate you. I've done a lot of sinning, man. I've done a lot of sinning. And God still loves me. And He's going to always love me. And His love for me never changes. His love for me is not dependent on what I do. Because any love that's dependent on what I do is not unconditional love. His love is not based on any condition. And if we would receive that love, and if we would give love that way, if I would choose to love my spouse without condition, not as long as she does this, or as long as she does that, or as long as I get this, or get whatever. But if I choose to love, it doesn't matter if she hates me. It doesn't matter if she leaves me, if she divorces me. If I still choose to love, then I'm free. The minute I give in to hate, my life is ended. I'm in bondage to that hatred. As long as I choose to love, I know a lot of you guys are like, man, I can't love my ex. I just can't do it. Well, that's your problem. I mean, you're gonna hold on to anger and bitterness and hate and all these things that are unhealthy for us. They're not a better way to live. Choose love, and when we choose love, then and I'm not talking about we're going to get back together or whatever. Maybe your marriage is over. I hate that, but life happens. But we can also get past that because we can love. We can choose love, and we can learn. And as long as we're learning, and we're learning how to be as people, then our future always looks bright. As long as we're living in love, and as long as we're becoming, the future always looks good. It's always positive for us. And so I just wanted to encourage you in your relationships and in your marriages and with your kids that man, love is a better way to live. And love is learning what they need, your wife, your kids, your friends, and meeting their needs. And that's how we grow and live together. So be encouraged. All right. I hope it was helpful for you guys. I hope that you got something you can work off of. Again, marriagebuilders.com. It's free. You can do it in the privacy of your home. You can do it at your pace. You can work through very specific issues that are, whether they're addictions or past hurts or whatever. You can work through those on your own and get healed up in those areas, and then your marriage can start healing. But I just encourage you, man, to put forth the work. Marriage is work. Having kids is work. Loving your kids is work, right? And you're kind of bound to love them. Loving your spouse is even more work. But it's worth the work because it's your life, and it's y'all's life together. And so it's worth the work.
I think it's with anything, it gets better with age. You get better at it. The longer you're in it. I really think so. Yeah. It's all great in the beginning, and then you kind of hit a lull, and then it gets better.
I think the longer you're in it too, the little things aren't they don't sidetrack you as much. I just think, man, if we could just stick with it and work at it. Here's one thing I'm gonna leave you with is, if you're in a marriage that's falling apart, and if you're here today and you just literally, the person sitting next to you makes you sick, it happens. Just remember this: somebody needs to go first. Your marriage is never going to be recovered until somebody goes first. Lay down your pride and choose love. And whether or not your spouse responds, you can't control that. But what you can control is your life. You don't have to be angry and bitter. You're going to spend your life connected to that person, whether you're divorced or not, man. How many of you guys got exes? Are you not connected to those people still? You can't never get away from them, right? I mean, you could kill them, but you shouldn't do that. That's a whole different set of problems. But go first. Lay down your pride and choose love. And I think it's just a better way to live. So let me pray for you guys. And